What's going on, everyone? My name's 8-Bit Preston and welcome back to the Sonic Retrospective. In the last episode we took a look at Sonic's first and very poor attempt to jump into the 3D world, being Sonic R. But in today's video we're going to be analysing Sonic's first true jump to 3D and how revolutionary it was at the time and how it is a fan favourite to many even today. Yes, I am talking about Sonic Adventure on the Sega Dreamcast. Now I will briefly mention the PS3 and Xbox 360 PC and GameCube port later on in the video, but the main focus of today's video will be the Dreamcast version of the game. So apologies if I missed a few features here and there, because I grew up, well, I didn't grow up with this game, but my first time playing it was on the PS3 version, you know, the PSN re-release. I didn't play the original till a few years later, so I'm going to analyse the original now because it's a simple version. But other than that, let's roll. So Sonic Adventure is basically one grand story split up into multiple story modes, and you start with Sonic, which will then progress to Tails, Knuckles, Amy Rose, Big the Cat, and E102 Gamma. I don't think that's his name. I can't remember, it's been a while, but I'm just going to call him Gamma for short. But the most important story by far is Sonic's story, in my opinion, because Sonic's story just gets to the meat of things. It's kind of like a classic Sonic Adventure mixed with the game's, you know, primary storytelling. And we all know the most useful one by far. It's Big the Cat. No, that's useless. But yeah, back then this was impressive. Nowadays this looks totally shit because it's just a lot of triangles with some very, very stupid facial expressions. But what can I say? Anyways, the juice of Sonic's story is Sonic discovers Eggman's plot to release Chaos, who is basically a water god, a god of destruction, if you would say. And when he discovers Chaos for the first time in Station Square, he takes him on, and then later realizes that the more Chaos Emeralds he has, the more powerful he is. So it's Sonic's goal to team up with Tails to rid him of these emeralds and to save the city, which is pretty basic, but it works. It really does work. Anyways, Sonic defeats Chaos on their first encounter, but which then Eggman gives us some lovely cliche exposition and tells us his plot. Well, Sonic doesn't know this, but the audience does know it, which is, you know, kind of a Crash Bandicoot 2 situation all over again, but it works. But yeah, so the all-around feel of Sonic's story is, it's smooth, it works, and it's just really fun. That's the best part about the game, in my opinion. Sonic's story is the best story in the game. Now, not just because of the story, obviously because of the gameplay as well. And speaking of gameplay, why don't we talk about the gameplay of Sonic? But before we do, can we just give it a minute to recognize this meme?
Watch out! You're gonna crash! Ah!
Amazing performances. So as our first level begins, we see Sonic on a beach, which is basically just outside the hotel that the game is located around with the first hub world. And what an intro level, Jesus Christ, no wonder people love Emerald Coast so much. This level just gives you the perfect introduction to Sonic and what he's capable of in this game. And since this was Sonic's first true adventure in 3D, they give him the homing attack new to the series, which allows him to lock onto enemies for easy access to defeat them, because jumping on them normally would be a bit of a bitch. And Sonic 06 knows all about that, but that video isn't due to come out for a while, but so we'll just keep that in the lowdown for now. But anyways, moving on. The gameplay is fluent, it's fast, and it just controls really nicely. And while the Dreamcast controller isn't my favourite controller of all time, far from it, I actually despise that thing sometimes because of the joystick just feeling really hard. I don't like it at all. But that doesn't distract me from the gameplay because it's fast paced, it's exhilarating, and some of the cinematic shots like this here, this is just a sight to see whilst playing through this game. Everything just works really well around this game, and the way that the levels present it as well, it's just fantastic. Round of applause for the level designers here, as well as the people who designed the control for this game. You guys did a fantastic job. I'm not going to spoil anything else about Sonic apart from his levels are really good, they're really fun. The best one is Speed Highway by a mile. Everyone knows that level's the best. And the story unfolds really nicely with the ending that calls back to Sonic 1 if you manage to beat it. So that's Sonic. So now let's move on to Tails. The reason why you usually hear a lot of people bitching about Tails in the newer Sonic games is simply because of this game. Not because it's a bad thing or anything, but this game made Tails out to be a a young fox who was confident in himself and could do anything he wanted when he put his mind to it, which was a very good motive for Tails, because obviously Tails is just a kid, and being a kid can be hard. Obviously we've all been there and experienced, we've been there, done that. But obviously we weren't all brainiacs with a 300 IQ. So the way that Tails is presented in this game, he's presented out to be Sonic, but obviously a little less confident and not looking the same with different qualities, obviously. But the good thing about Tails here is that he can stick up for himself, which, as displayed in Sonic Forces, is no longer apparent. So this is why Tails in this game is the best he's ever been. But to move on to his gameplay, Tails is basically the same as Sonic, and all of these stages are basically the same as Sonic's as well. Apart from, instead of getting from point A to point B, you have to race Sonic from point A to point B, or sometimes slide down sandy mountains, or even race Dr. Eggman from point A to point B. Which does lead to some interesting scenarios, as well as Tails' final level being the race with Dr. Eggman, being quite the interesting one when it comes to why they're racing. But obviously, again, I won't spoil it for you because I'm not like that. And who can forget about everyone's favourite laughing stock these days, Knuckles? Knuckles in this game, while not only looking like a Mario mushroom just really swollen on the top, Knuckles' story is what inspired the horrendous stages for him in Sonic Adventure 2. His stages require searching around different parts of maps, which are obviously part of the other stories as well, because every level is intertwined with one another, which is quite unique actually, how everything's just one big level. But Knuckles has to scout for the pieces of the Master Emerald, which was shattered by Chaos Zero on Angel Island, causing it to fall into the ocean. And without the Master Emerald in place on the shrine on Angel Island will fall, collapse, cause floods, blah blah blah, and other plot details which I won't reveal. So, Knuckles' story has one of the more interesting plots, as you can see, Knuckles is quite a shit god, but his gameplay is far from the best in the game. It's really, really far from the best, but yeah, at least he's got the best theme song in the game. Here I come, rougher than the rest of them, the best of them, tougher than leather. You can call me Knuckles, unlike Sonic I don't chuckle. I'd rather flex my muscles, I'm hard as nails, it ain't hard to tell. I break them down whether they're solid or frail. Unlike the rest, I'm independent since my first breath, first steps for the right, then the world's left. Oh no. Moving on to our next story, we have Amy Rose, and Amy's story, basically, she finds a Flicky, which is a bird from Sonic 3D Blast, and it's her own choice to try and reunite it with its family, into which this story has a connection with E102 Gamma's story as well. So not going too into depth with it, because Gamma's story makes a little bit more sense, in a way I guess. The whole gameplay around Amy is that you're being chased by a robot in every level, and since Amy is quite slow, these levels can be a drag, because all you have to do is go through a regular stage but slower, while using Amy's attacks to maneuver through them with this bird. And it's not the most annoying gameplay style in the world, it's just not a very good one, I'm not going to lie. But this flashback here to Sonic TD, I thought this was pretty fucking cool. I mean, I'm more, like with Metal Sonic and stuff, I thought that was really nice how the developers went and did this. I'm like, why couldn't Metal Sonic be in this game? I mean, yeah, we got him in Sonic Heroes, but come on, it would have been pretty sick in this game. But anyways, Amy's story is not the worst in the game, not by a long shot, but it's far from one of the best. But now, my friends, we have the bane of everyone's existence. Big the Cat! Seriously though, why does this motherfucker's theme song sound like an Elvis song? If you don't already know the torture many people go through when playing Big the Cat story, let me put it simple. Fishing. Now while fishing may not sound like a bad idea, because Sega has made fishing games, including Big Bass Fishing, this isn't good. This is bad. But the story is just basically, Chaos comes to Big's little paradise and decides to kidnap his pet frog, Froggy, into which Froggy then absorbs the power of chaos and he grows a tail that looks like a penis. And it's Big's goal to rescue his Fret Frog. His Fret Frog, yes. That's what, yes, it's his Fret Frog, guys. The whole point of this being a thing is not only to shoehorn in another character, but also because in another game, because Froggy has been inside of chaos, literally, he now has the power of chaos inside of him, like chaos data, which Metal Sonic needs in Sonic Heroes. That's basically the only reason this is a thing, and I really wish it wasn't. Instead of torturing myself and everyone else with Big the Cat's horrendous gameplay, instead enjoy this animation of what I feel I want to do to Big the Cat.
Right, that's it. I can't take it anymore.
Huh?
I mean, it's bad enough that you're mentally retarded, but
Yeah.
you just chased me around all day. I mean, this isn't what friends do.
Sure it is.
No, it isn't. We're not even friends. I'm a frog. You're a cat. You should be disemboweling me.
Ugh.
I mean, what were we doing yesterday?
Fun.
No, that was not fun. You were shoving me up your arse.
Yeah.
That wasn't enjoyable for either of us.
Yes, it was.
I mean, come on, get a girlfriend or something.
Huh?
That's it, I'm going. No, I've had
no,
enough. No, I'm going.
Froggy.
And for the final campaign of the game, and by far the most experimental, we have E102 Gamma. And Gamma is one of Eggman's creations. Now, Gamma's story links to Amy's story in a sense as well. Now, because he's an Eggman creation, he obviously has a Flicky inside of him as well. And so does his robot brothers. And the goal of Gamma is to destroy all of his robot brothers. Which, while it does seem kind of, strange at first, it's because Gamma realizes after Amy's, the persuasion, that he serves more of a purpose than serving Eggman, and that he must not only set free the Flickies of the other families of Flickies, but also towards the end free his Flicky from himself. And it is quite the emotional story considering he's a robot, and his gameplay is weird. Gamma's gameplay is quite similar to Eggman and Tails in Sonic Adventure 2. You walk around big stages while shooting robots to make sure that you do not run out of time on the level, which is the difference between this version of the shooting and the one in Sonic Adventure 2. And this is better because not only is it faster and more fluent, but also you have an objective other than getting to the goal ring. You actually have to do the required task within a certain time limit, which really adds the tension to it, and it can be quite fun. But either way, Gamma's problem gets resolved, everyone goes home, happy days, and there is a nice Mecha Sonic and Metal Sonic callback in this story as well. Alright, I said I wasn't going to give any spoilers, but to talk about the last story, I kind of have to give spoilers here. So be warned, there will be spoilers for the entirety of the last part of this video. So if you don't want to see these spoilers, it's fine, you can click off now. And just to, so you guys know what I think of the game, I will give Sonic Adventure a score of 6.5 out of 10. It's pretty good. Now, the reason I'm giving it a 6.5 is because while the game is fun, it just drags for far too long, and not all the gameplay styles are fun, which in the long run doesn't seem too bad, and 6.5 is a average score, well, compared to like fucking Metacritic or whatever. But yeah, it's a good game with a good story. It just goes on for too long, and not all of it is fun, with hub worlds as well being a little too big for my likings, especially the Mystic Ruins. And you can get lost, but it's not like Kingdom Hearts levels of confusing, but it can be confusing. So yeah, that's why Sonic Adventure gets a 6.5. But for the rest of the video, well, let's talk about the final story. So the last story of the game basically brings the entire story to a close, as we are given some more intellect on the Echidna tribe that perished many years ago, but Tikal trapping herself inside the Master Emerald to keep herself safe and to also try and neutralize chaos. Now, the reason why this story is one of the best in the game is not only because we get to play Super Sonic in 3D for the first time, and boy what a final fight it is, but also the rest of the story and the way it closes off is pretty satisfying, despite the whole negative chaos energy is a little bit bullshit in my opinion. It's pretty good. Anyways, moving to the main part of the final story, Chaos has gone against Dr. Eggman's command, has collected all 7 Chaos Emeralds by himself, and is now invading the streets of Central Station. Is it Central Station? I think it's no, that's New York, isn't it? Oh no, Station Square. Sorry, my brain went dead for a second then. Yeah, so he invades the streets of Station Square by flooding them through the sewers, and using all of this flooding, obviously because Chaos is a water god, he is able to transform himself into perfect chaos and absolutely destroy the city, causing havoc and potentially a few fatalities, despite we don't see them. But buildings shatter, the roads crumble, panic just ensues over the city, and everything is just a water wasteland within seconds, as we can see huge tidal waves coming over the city's skyscrapers. And at long last, perfect chaos emerges from the building. So it is then left to Sonic to use the positive energy that still remains inside of the Chaos Emeralds to transform into the godly Super Saiyan, Super Sonic. Yeah. So he transforms into Super Sonic using the positive energy of the Chaos Emeralds, and we get our first view of Super Sonic in 3D for the first time. Not counting Sonic R, because it's shit. And oh my goodness, what a reveal this is. With the music kicking in and everything, Sonic heads out to the waters to go and take out Perfect Chaos. And holy Jesus, dude, this is one of the best final fights in a Sonic game ever. Dude, just seeing Perfect Chaos there in the middle of the water, and we get to play Super Sonic for the first time in 3D in a boss fight. We just feel like a god floating on water. And this, while technically it isn't used like the boost is in the Sonic Hero Special stages and how it is nowadays in modern Sonic, this is technically our first look at Sonic's boost powers, as when he goes really fast, he has this aura around him, and as he reaches Perfect Chaos, you travel up him, hit his brain, into which he'll vanish into these water particles and emerge somewhere else. Anyways, rinse and repeat this process a few times, Perfect Chaos goes down, and peace is restored to the land, and the game finishes. And just saying, is it worth the effort to get to this final campaign? No, because while you do have to get through a lot of stuff to, reach this final campaign, and the final boss fight is definitely worth the effort, I wouldn't put myself through it a second time. Or I should say a third time, because this is my second time 100% in the game. But I wouldn't put myself through it again, simply because the rest of the campaigns, other than Sonic and Tails, I'm not too fond of. Knuckles is kind of alright, but the rest of them, I'm not the biggest fan of, and I don't think I'd play them again. If I wanted to play a Perfect Chaos boss fight, I'd just resort to the one in Sonic Generations, because that's good as well. And while it's nowhere near as good as this one, it's still pretty good. I'll just go to that, because I've got it anyway, and I'll just enable the Super Sonic mod. But yeah, that's it. That's Sonic Adventure. But obviously we can't go on without mentioning the port, so I'll quickly mention the ports while keeping this gameplay. There's no point in me showing the gameplay for the ports because it's the exact same, the graphics just look better, and the lip syncing is relatively fixed. The GameCube version is pretty much the same as the original, just obviously looks better with better lip syncing, with better audio mixing, blah blah blah. It's just an overall better experience. And then the PS3 and Xbox Live ports that was made available in 2013, 2012 I think it was, I can't remember. But when they were made available, they are still and will be for a long time the best versions of these games. So that being said, thank you all for watching this video. If you did enjoy, please be sure to smack a like on the video, and if you have played this game before, let me know what your favourite campaign is and if you think Perfect Chaos was a really good boss fight. But other than that, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video of mine. Take care and peace.